This is Andy Lalino from Tampa Bay Screams. I'll see you at the Tampa Morgue.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, episode number 48. And as always, I am joined by my co-host from the June Inferno we call Tampa, Mr. Ed Webb. What's up, dude?
Mr. Anderson, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Just getting ready for it. Me and you have a very busy week and a half ahead of us. We will be doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes on the podcast that people aren't forced to deal with. But we got our
hands full.
Yeah, we have our hands full this week, man. And obviously, how was your birthday, dude? It's your birthday week.
It was all right. It was good. I mean, when you do it on a Monday, it kind of sucks, but it was all right. I had a good dinner. I've been kind of feeling like shit since after, but everything leading up to it was great.
Ed did have a rough week after the dinner. You were telling me about that, and I kind of, I was rooting for Ed because I'm thinking, is Ed going to be around this week? I'm like, is Ed, not dead. I mean, eventually one of us are going to be dead, not signing on anymore. That's going to be very
hopefully
depressing.
It's a while down the line, but
exactly.
Yeah, but, I don't know what happened, man. My daughter took me and my wife out to a Chili's, and as soon as I walked out the door, man, it felt like somebody had the only way I could describe it is somebody really kicked me as hard as they could in the sternum. Like, I thought it was like heartburn or something. And we went into this furniture store, and dude, I'll tell you, I couldn't wait to get out. And driving home in traffic was like, it was a nightmare, man. Because in my head, I'm just like, I got to get home. My wife's thinking I should go to the hospital. She thinks I'm having a heart attack. I'm like, I'm having a fucking heart attack.
We are in that window now.
Yeah, but you can tell. Like, I would know if it were, you know what I mean? There are different symptoms, But when I got home, I just freaking retched like hard, and then didn't eat anything the next day and retched again. And it was just for 3 days was solid. Felt like somebody kicked me like as hard as they could. I don't know what the fuck it was. I did do, pretty heavy chest workout that day at the gym. Don't know if that did it, but whatever, man. It's not like I took 6 weeks off and came back and tried to put up weight. I'm at the gym every day. So who knows, freak thing, man. But I feel today was the first day I actually feel semi-normal. So maybe I just pulled something, who knows. But yeah, that sucks the day after you realize how fucking old you are. You're fucking like, dead.
Well, we're glad you're still here with us, and I mean that. We had a hell of a week. And everybody who's listening, just so we do have a guest joining us. We have a couple guests, right? They're joining us in a couple minutes. We got the people from the Tampa Bay Screams. We have Andrew Lalino, who's the organizer, producer, filmmaker, journalist. We have April Hunter coming on. She's a model, pro wrestler. She was a pro wrestler. I don't think she's wrestling anymore. Professional dancer, actress. She was in some of the movies. She was in the Meat Puppet, Kill City Cup, Grave Digger, Hell House. She was also in the WCW and WEW, right, Ed? That's a thing.
No, it was WCW and
no, she was involved with the NWO too for a little bit.
NWO was in WCW. The other one was.
See, I have Ed is definitely the pro. I do not know.
Yeah, because they had them all. They had all the TNA was the one she was in. TNA, which was a break off of that was in Orlando. That was where Hulk Hogan went, and a lot of the dudes from Florida went to TNA wrestling for a while.
She wrestled in Japan too. She
did overseas stuff. Yeah, she was one of the first women tag team champions. So, there's a lot of stuff. Like
our first female guest too tonight.
Yeah, that is a first, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a first.
So, I'm sure our wives will love that, but that's okay.
That's our first one.
Yeah, no, and that's not by choice. It's just we haven't had anybody step up.
And what's funny is we actually have two this week. We have obviously April is coming on tonight, and then we have next episode, or I think it's going to be the Chris episode 50. That'll be our 50th episode. That will wind up being Chris from Autopsy is coming on. And in the beginning, we're going to talk to one of the promoters from Kilcum Festival, and she's that's a big festival in Lithuania. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that also tonight. But we had April Hunter and Carman DiCiCCO, who actually owns Joe's Toys. This is his first convention. He has like a toy company that will be setting up at the convention. But the convention is called Tampa Bay Screams. It's a 2-day event, Friday and Saturday. Friday is 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday is 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. The Pinellas Park Performing Arts Center and TampaBayScreams.com. You can get more info, and you'll be able to get a lot of info here tonight because we have Andrew, April, and Carman coming on. And Ed,
and we are endorsement, you know what I mean? We're the which is that was great.
Our logo at the convention, which is fucking awesome.
We would have been there in person had things lined up a little earlier.
Next year we will have a table there. I told
we'll actually do a podcast from there. We'll figure out how to do it, and me and you will set up and do one from the actual venue, which will be killer. Maybe
cool to have some bands in there too. Yeah.
I mean, that would be smart for them to have a band there. Generichrist.
And the thing is, back in the 80s, like we always said, you had the horror movies that had the metal soundtracks. We talked about that on a bunch of episodes.
Anybody who's followed the three people who followed Generichrist would know, just kidding. We have Bill Moseley, from
Devil's
Chop
Rejects.
Devil's Rejects.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre too.
That guy right there has done many intros on our songs.
And I want to wish Bill, actually, dude, I want to wish Bill he got injured. He got, I think he broke some bones. I don't want to say exactly which ones, but I think he got, because I'm not 100% sure, but I know he got hit by a bicyclist who did a hit and run or something. So Bill Moseley, we, definitely hope you're feeling better. But I think that was last week that happened, Ed.
Yeah, I saw that.
And speaking of Generichrist, we actually opened up the show with some Generichrist, which is me and Ed's longtime band for many years. Actually, our guitar player, Joe, just had a baby yesterday, a daughter, so congratulations. That's their third kid. He's going to have fun. I got two.
I told you, Joe. I told you when you were making fun of me for not coming to practice, I told you what it was going to be like. Welcome to the party, my friend.
Yeah, he's going to be busy. I got two, and I got news for you. I didn't have gray into my beard until I had kids. Now it's happening.
You know what's crazy? He's having a baby now. My daughter just graduated. So, he's starting the party, and I finished the party. So, it's good luck, buddy.
Well, you think about it, too, is you have – it's kind of crazy. For us, which again, we played Generichrist beginning of the show. We played Fuck to Get High off the Taste of Death record from 2015. That was put out on Horror Pain Gore Productions out of Philadelphia. We actually, me and Ed the Generichrist has a bunch of stuff going on right now. We're trying to figure out. So it's we'll be doing some shows in November, December. So we're trying to get that all figured out. We mentioned Bill Moseley being involved with that and stuff. But, it's been, Ed, I didn't have it. The last gig we played was 2018. I had no children. Now I have a 3- and 5-year-old. Joe had no children. Now Joe has 3. Your kids were still somewhat smaller.
I think Bryce was 15, and he was filming the show. If you remember, we got, we played with Obituary and Paul Bearer, right?
That was 2018 at the Haven.
Skeleton Witch?
Gig. Yeah, Skeleton Witch. Dust Bolt, I believe, was on that show.
That was a great fucking show, and that's what was now called the Conduit. So
and then obviously Pete Owen owns the Conduit, who we had on this show. What was it, a couple episodes ago?
Yep.
A couple weeks ago. I'm looking
Things
forward to get back out. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I haven't been to Florida in a while. It'll be good to get back. Be doing some shows. But Ed, I didn't want you to think also that we had forgotten your birthday around here. People sent us some messages for you and stuff. But we just wanted to play this little tune for you on here, for your birthday. So when you actually 71, you're born, right?
Yes.
Do you know what TV show came out in 71? If you want to really feel old,
show
that would never be around in 2024 because it would be canceled. No, but I think Benny Hill might have come out that same time period. I don't know. All in the Family.
All in the Family. Yes, you could not. Archie Bunker could not could not say the shit he says today. He could. He'd probably get one episode out. That would be about it.
That would be about it. But yeah, so it was, people sent us some birthday wishes for you, and this tune wound up being in the mix. So we don't name the bands; we just play them. This is from a band called Vaginal Discharge. Ed,
fantastic!
Are you excited?
Can't wait!
There we go. Let's try this again.
Well, another fucking year has come and gone. So grab your fucking party hat and put that fucker on. We're gonna drink a lot of fucking beer and smoke a lot of fucking pot. And if you're supposed to work tomorrow, better call and tell them to fuck off. Happy fucking birthday to you. All your fucking friends are here and your fucking family too. Hope you get some fucking action, fucking drink until you spew. Happy fucking birthday to you. Well, we're gonna go out and hit every fucking bar. All your drinks are on the house, yeah, you're the fucking star. Get all fucking drunk and rowdy, gonna turn some fucking heads. Gonna party down so fucking hard, we're gonna tear this down to fucking shreds. Happy fucking birthday to you. All your fucking friends are here and your fucking fucking family too. Hope you get some fucking action, fucking drink it till you spew. Happy fucking birthday to you. I said happy fucking birthday to you.
Yay, there you go.
Well, that was classic.
Yeah, I
Great
screwed that up.
job, guys.
Yeah, I screwed that up a
Too
little
bad
bit.
none of that happened.
Yo, you did spew.
I did spew. The day after I did spew, but not from alcohol.
Yeah,
I don't drink.
Maybe Chili's. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
No,
who knows, man?
Yeah, you don't know. But yeah, man. So it's been, like I said, we have guests coming on. Let me see here. We have a bunch of guests coming on this week. We're gonna have to separate the shows a little bit because we have Bloody Mess coming on. Me and Ed are gonna be hanging out with Bloody Mess tomorrow night, and that should be a hell of a show. I've known Bloody for years. He's an underground punk guy who has a lot of stories, has been around, seen a lot of shit. Definitely looking forward to talk to him.
If you've ever wanted a 12-hour episode, you got it.
It's going to be a long one. Yeah, it's going to be a long episode, I believe. He's got, he's seen some stuff, man. I talked to Bloody the other night. He's excited to come on. And we got Chris from Autopsy, which me and you, I know, are definitely excited about, on June 19th. And we have Gene from Angel Corpse and Perdition Temple on June 25th. And yeah, so that's the end of this month. I mean, it's crazy. This month we're already on the 14th. We're recording the show on Friday.
And we'll probably do some sort of Instagram live from, if everything works out right, from the convention.
The Tampa Screams.
Since we're there, I'll kind of pop in. I'll coordinate it with you. I mean, 12 to 5, that kind of puts you in the late zone. But, and I would probably go there early anyway, because I don't want to be there at 5 o'clock. In Clearwater or wherever.
Pinellas Park. Yes, Pinellas Park. Yeah.
So, I mean, actually, that's an hour drive, not even 45 minutes for me. But, we'll probably do an Instagram live, and it'll be kind of cool. We'll just pop in since we're, doing the promotion for them and stuff, and it's going to be good.
It's cool. I was really, when Andrew messaged us, about he listened to the show and, wanted us to be part of the fest. I was, like I said, for me, it's like a couple weeks away. So it's like a 17-hour flight for me. So it was just
not going to work.
No, especially with to be honest, the ticket prices right now are crazy. And I'm already bringing my family there for these Generichrist shows and Doomsla shows in November, December. So it's already a lot of stuff's going on, but next year I definitely want to go to it. I know Andrew's done a lot of stuff. Like I said, he was very busy at the Tampa Pictures Show, which was, the last time I was there. Many
times.
Yeah, the last time I was there was for I believe it was Descendants documentary, the old punk band, The Descendants, who I grew up listening to. They were showing the film that they had done for a documentary. But he's done a lot of stuff. He made a movie, 2003, Filthy. That was his first thing he did. He did the Uh-Oh show, which was directed by Herschel Gordon Lewis. Herschel Gordon Lewis passed away in 2016. I met him at Spooky Empire many years ago. The Godfather of Gore. He did Blood Feast in 63, 2000 Maniac 64, the Gore Girls in 72, and just a bunch of stuff. A lot of people are probably familiar with Herschel Gordon Lewis, but he lived in Florida. I want to say Sarasota, but could be incorrect. So yeah, I think I think Ed, you're gonna have a good time, man. I wish I was with you. Next year it'll be a good time to go.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Also, we have something coming up where we're going to be able to give away some tickets.
Yeah, so Ruth Eckerd Hall, whoever's in Florida knows this venue. I've been there. I've seen Alice Cooper there a bunch of times. Great venue. They contacted us. They want us to do some promotions for them. So we are going to give away tickets on the show, on the Instagram. And we don't pick the shows, it's just for rock shows or metal shows, we're going to give them away. I think the first one is going to be Slash from Guns N' Roses tickets for the Ruth Eckerd Hall. So that, whatever they give us to give away, we have no problem giving them away. So
it'll be on Instagram. So
yeah, right?
You'll have to log in and check it out and submit your name. We'll figure out how to do it. We'll give you more info, but just giving you a heads up, we will be giving Slash tickets with away.
Ruth Eckerd. That's cool, man. I mean,
that's awesome. I think that will be a great, because they have a bunch of killer shows. I know over the years, Queensryche's played there, and a bunch of bands have.
Blue Oyster Cult played there, I want to say.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're not just, so people understand, we're not a death metal show. We're not a punk show. We're not a hardcore show. We're not a horror movie show. We're an everything show.
We're just
me and Tony
heavy
grew
music
up,
show, right?
Listen, Guns N' Roses was huge when I was growing up. Now, was I a huge fan? No, because I saw the people who were listening to him, were definitely the girls wearing the midriff shirts and, the weird chicks,
Appetite for Destruction is a great record, though. I mean, I never have to hear "Sweet Child of Mine" again, but it's so easy and stuff like that.
All those radio tunes can be thrown away.
Yeah,
because really, Brownstone and all the other underlings, tunes that never got played are probably some of the better songs on the rec.
Yeah, and that song "Rocker Queen" is a great song.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just I think a lot of them, because they didn't have that mainstream feel, they didn't get played. Like Crew. If you really delve into Crew's catalog, some of their best songs are the ones we would never get to hear on the radio because
Bastard,
they're
Dead Kid, stuff like that.
Even on the later record, even Theater of Pain, there's some songs on there that are pretty heavy. But
Save Our Souls was a cool tune. I mean, but there was a lot of garbage. That album was a lot of filler.
Wow, look at the reason he had to sell out because he fucked up.
Yeah, that was with the car accident stuff time period.
No, he rocks.
The Appetite for Destruction, Rocket Queen. I don't know if you know the story behind that, Ed, but so I guess there's a girl moaning on that song at the end of it. During the build up before it goes into the slower part. So I guess Adler, the drummer at that time period, had his girlfriend showed up at the studio, and Adler was supposed to be there or something and didn't show up, and then I guess Axel had sex with his girlfriend and recorded it, and that's how that track is on there. So.
Awesome. I'm sure Steve feels great about that.
Exactly.
I can tell you, Axel would have been wearing 2 drumsticks in his eye sockets.
I wonder if do you ever listen to that song if you're Adler? I guess maybe he doesn't give a shit. That was a time period where these guys
might be. Adler can pick up any amount of tail that he wanted back then,
especially during Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah, even after. Well, was he on? He wasn't on the next record, was he?
No, it was Sorum.
Right.
Matt Sorum
took
over.
So he was gone.
Yeah.
So that's probably why he was gone.
And you remember too when that Use Your Illusions came out, Ed. I don't know if you remember, but that was such a big deal. That was another thing. Those albums, really, if you think about it,
2 records. They put out 1 and 2, right? They were
1 and 2,
blue and red or something, different colors.
They couldn't even get them out of the box at the record store. They just opened up the box, the actual box they came in on, the brown box.
People were just snatching them.
People were just snatching them out of there. They couldn't even put them on the shelf. So that was such a big deal, that album. But yeah, so with Record Hall, we're going to give away tickets. We don't choose the shows. They just offer them to us, and we're going to give them away. So, if they give us whatever, Foreigner tickets, we're going to give them away. If they give us Cannibal Corpse tickets, we're going to give them away. So, it's just whatever they give us, we're going to do.
Plus, if you've ever seen Miles Kennedy, if he's singing with him, Miles Kennedy, he's great. I mean, his voice is great. I remember he came out and did, not that I'm a huge fan of Disturbed, but The Sound of Silence, when David Draymond did that with Disturbed, it was a great cover. Great. I mean, because that dude can sing. I mean,
I've
like
never
Disturbed,
heard of that, I don't think.
It's fucking a great cover, and he did it alone, which was weird because, it's obviously Simon and Garfunkel. It's a dual kind of duet.
Is it better than the Happy Fucking Birthday song you just heard?
Way better. Way better.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe not, because that was pretty good. But the point is that Miles Kennedy came out and sang with him live, and him doing the Simon and Garfunkel kind of harmony. That guy can sing. He can hit any pitch. He's great. So if it is Slash's band and Miles is playing, it's kind of worth watching him because Slash rips. I mean, like Guns N' Roses or not, Slash can fucking play.
He's been sober for a long time too. I mean,
he's a shredder, and he got in great shape. So that's what happens when you stop drinking, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's what is it? Friday night? I'll tell you tomorrow morning. We have what is it here? So I wanted to mention some shows, but I can't. Ed, can you look? I'll tell you, Bat is playing at the Conduit. I had a list of shows. I'll have to be honest, and I don't know what the hell I did with them. I know Narcotic Wasteland's playing at the Mug coming up, and a bunch of other places in Florida, but unfortunately, I have misplaced the info, so I apologize for that.
This guy absolutely shit the bed right here.
Necrot Bat will be playing at the Conduit on, what is that, June 19th. That I do have, that information, and Ed is looking up the other information from that.
I think they're also playing the Orpheum either the day before or day after.
Is it the 18th?
I'm going to that show.
I think that's the 18th.
I'm
right?
going to that show.
Yeah, so Bat and Necrot will be playing on
and
the 18th.
And then I will be going to the Narcotic Wasteland show too.
And whoever's wondering, we are going to get to a couple minutes here. We're going to get to our Tampa Bay Screams guests. We're just waiting for everybody to get on and ready to go.
Sometimes getting multiple people ready is not.
Yeah, this would be the most people we've ever had at one time. Usually we have we've had I think we've had 2 before when we first started. Of course, when we first started doing this show, it was an absolute circus.
Yeah, Narcotic Wastelands in Tampa on June 21st. They're playing Pensacola the 20th, Gainesville the 22nd, Pompano the 23rd, Jacksonville the 24th. So if you're in Florida, those are your shows.
There you go. See, we didn't drop the ball. I dropped the ball, but Ed picked it up. So
I got it.
Yeah, so let's get everyone situated from Tampa Bay Screams. Like I said, we have Andrew Lalino, April Hunter, and Carman DiCiCCO coming on. We'll get them all situated, and we're going to play a track here from Necrophagia. Can't tell you the last time I obviously Killjoy passed away in 2018, actually. I think he was only 48 years old. But, Ohio's Necrophagia. We're going to play a song from them, and then we're going to get with our guests. The song is called, let me just make sure everything's tuned up here, Parasite. Let me make sure it's going to play for us here. It's from the album The Divine Art of Torture, and that came out on Seasons of the Mist in 2003, and the song is called Parasite Eve. This is Necrophagia. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this track.
My eye, there's no sign of life. Fable, tale of demon, correct, temptation, black. Life, a splintered figure, removing, poison,
That was Ohio's Necrophagia with the song Parasite Eve off the 2003 album titled The Divine Art of Torture that came out on Seasons of Mist. And we are actually joined by a couple people today. It's the first time we have the most guests we've ever had on one episode. Actually, our first female guest on 49 episodes. So first of all, April Hunter, thank you for coming on. You are our first girl that we've had on the show.
Way. I'm the first female tag team champion as well. So I love breaking the first. This is awesome.
There you go. You're our first female guest, and this is our 48th episode tonight. And everybody, introduce yourselves. So first of all, we're joined by there's going to be a convention in Tampa Bay Screams. This is the 9th annual Tampa Bay Screams. It's a 2-day event. It's going to take place in Pinellas Park at the Performing Arts Center, 4951 78th Avenue North. It's happening on a Friday and a Saturday, and we are joined by people who are involved in it, man. And first of all, everybody introduce themselves, and we'll find out what's up. Andy, you can go first. We'll start with you since you're the...
Sure. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Ed. My name is Andy Lalino. I am the organizer of Tampa Bay Screams. It's a horror convention. As Tony said, it's our 9th year. We're very excited to bring it back. This is my first time organizing it. We're kind of new owners, and I'd like to, welcome all of our attendees and say a big thank you to our celebrity guests and vendors for participating. And I know it's going to be just a super fun horror event for the fans. And I hope everybody comes out and has a good time over the weekend.
And April, you can go next if you want. Just introduce yourselves and we'll...
All right. I'm April Hunter. I'm a former pro wrestler, comic book model, podcaster with The A Show. And I have done this convention and many others, but this is one of my favorite conventions. I'm trying to think how many years I've done this. Probably at least 5. And I love coming back. The horror conventions are a lot of fun. The people who come are a lot of fun, and this one in particular is near and dear to my heart. They get a lot of really great guests, a lot of really great visitors, so I really enjoy this. Plus, I live in Tampa Bay, so I get to sleep in my own bed.
Definitely a bonus.
Oh, hell yeah.
Carman?
Hey, I'm Carman DiCiCCO. I'm a toy vendor, Joe's Toys. I'll be having a table at Tampa Bay Screams, and the reason I'm here is because I'm also a rabid metalhead, and Andy recognized this and thought that I should show up. So.
Nice. So we'll start. You guys are all in Florida, and we talked about that before we actually signed on. So I'll start out. I guess I'm going to ask is it cool if we get to know a couple of you? I'm going to mention. So Andrew, okay, so you're originally from New York, right? You moved to St. Pete in 71?
That is correct. So I'm pretty much a native here.
Okay, and so 71. So you were how old when you moved there?
I was about 4 years old when we moved to Florida.
Okay, and April, you were actually a military kid, right? You actually grew up in a military family, and you were born in Philadelphia.
Yeah, my grandmother remained in Philadelphia, so I consider that home. But we've lived everywhere, basically. We always got to transfer in the middle of the school year, so that was always fun. It kind of made for an interesting personality, and I think that's why I never minded traveling because, we were always picking up and going. So, but yeah, I'm a transient, I guess.
And Carmen, you said you were from, we were talking before the show, was it Pennsylvania?
I'm from PA as well. April will probably know where I'm from, Levittown, Bucks County.
Oh, yeah. I lived up there in Doylestown for a while. Well,
Ottsville.
So that's Ottsville in the middle of
where I was. Like I said, I was in Jersey for a while when I was in the Army, and been in Florida for 20, 30 years now, though. So.
Yeah, we were saying with Carmen that we were talking about the Clash of the Titans tour, which I want to say was like 91, which was like Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax. And we had Public Enemy. Some shows had like Suicidal Tendencies. Ed, you saw them with what? Testament was on it?
No, it was just the 4 plus Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains.
Oh,
that was mine. Yep. At the Spectrum in Philly. Yep.
Yeah, we were saying, Carmen, too, right? That's before Alice in Chains was actually like a thing. Like they were kind of getting up there, but like people were throwing stuff at them. And it was like, kind of they weren't really welcomed when they first came out. And then next thing you know, they were huge.
No, they were getting up in Philly and the house lights didn't even come on. They kept, had come down. It was kind of bad. I felt bad for the guy, to be honest. Never heard before, so it was a new experience.
Well, they weren't
Definitely.
thrash. You know what I mean? That's what it was. Is they were grunge thrown on a thrash tour. I mean, you had the three best thrash bands, technically, besides Metallica on the planet, right? So they were kind of dropped in and left to fend for themselves. I thought they were great. They're a great band. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Alice in Chains rules.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, Slayer's crowd was not the easiest to play in front of back in those days. It was definitely
they were yelling, "Bring on Slayers" the whole time. So
exactly. So, and we'll also go around and ask everybody, when did you guys first start getting into like horror movies and sci-fi movies?
as far as my introduction, like I did grow up in Philly. It was the late 70s, early 80s, whenever, and it was Creature Double Feature up there, and it was horror of Dracula. And after I watched that, I was hooked, and then I became a huge Hammer fan, and I went back and watched all the Universal ones, and I've never turned back. So.
Okay. And Andy, how about you?
Oh, for me, it was soon after we were talking about the move to Florida. Soon after we moved here in '71, I just, kids back then were TV watchers, and coincidentally, Creature Feature with Dr. Paul Bearer, who a lot of old timers will remember, he was a horror host here in the area, and his show debuted in 1973. So it was pretty soon after we moved here that I was exposed to these crazy horror and science fiction movies, and it all started with Dr. Paul Bearer, Creature Feature. I saw the original show back in '73 when it started, so it was the movies. Like the two movies I remember were Earth versus the Flying Saucers and The Deadly Mantis. Those were the two '50s sci-fi. One was a giant bug movie, the other was a flying saucer movie. That's what really got me started into the horror and science fiction genres.
If you remember, you mentioned the horror hosts, right? So you had what? So Paul Bearer, I think he was the third one in the Tampa Bay area, because you had Shock Armstrong, which was before that, the All-American Ghoul, and then I think before that was even Ed and Peg, which was like 60s.
Tony, that is correct. Yes, those were before my time. Like there are no Shock Armstrong episodes that have survived the years. However, I do remember the Shock Theater. They had after Shock Armstrong's run, they had a almost like a placard for the same show, which I do remember seeing, but it was just a still of a Frankenstein head. That was it.
Yeah, I've actually seen the same photo that you're talking about. And April, how about? I know you also grew up on Kung Fu Theater, which is something that I remember as a kid, and Bruce Lee movies. But when did you start actually getting into more of the sci-fi and the horror movies?
Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, that was probably my brother and I would watch that, and then that type of show kind of lends itself to the Black Mirror today. So the horror that I like is more of a psychological horror than the physical chase you down, the girl trips and falls and you're just like, oh my God, bitch, get up. So
they always fall.
Right. And as an athlete myself, I'm just like, oh, face palm, So, I like the ones where they mess with your head and, the brainwashing and the, like I said, more of the Black Mirror type of thing. Cause it's like, oh my God, the government could actually do that. And it kind of, you come away from that show thinking, oh my God, is that happening to us right now? Oh my God. Oh my God. So that's the horror that I enjoy and overthink. So
in 2024, it probably is happening to us.
I know.
It's probably true.
Stock up on your radiation pills. So
yes, definitely. And Andy, you went to University of Miami?
That is correct. At the time,
did you study film or anything?
Yeah, at the time, Tony, it was one of the few places that, and now you're talking about the 1980s. It was one of the few places in Florida where you could get a degree in motion pictures, which is one of the reasons for going there. So now it's more prevalent. Florida State offers programs, University of Central Florida, but at the time, Florida was just not a big movie production state.
And you also you've done a lot of work in the Tampa area. You also worked, which is gone now, the Tampa Picture Show, which I think went away in 2016, right? Because I started out in '82. You did a lot of work there too.
Yeah, we consider the Great Tampa Picture Show to be the last of our grindhouses here in the area. They were just great to collaborate with. They did a lot of midnight movies. We did our Screaming Cinema series there for Cult Movie Mania when I was involved with that. And Wayne Valenti, the owner, and his wife and daughter, they were just it was a mom and pop owned business. And as if Carman has ever been out there, or if April has ever been out there, you guys, you'll know how great of a time it was. It was just a great place to see movies. You could eat there. They would serve you there at the tables, and you'd watch just great cult movies. They were so great to work with. They were open to ideas, always accommodating, and we miss them. And we send Wayne is still around, and we send him our best wishes.
Yeah. And Carmen, what made you get into the toy? Were you like horror toys, or do you have like a whole variety of stuff going on?
Yeah. With me, it's 70s, 80s mostly. It became something that I as a collector, I then moved into the eBay business and did that for the longest time. And this is the first time I'm actually going to be presenting at a convention, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's physically getting out and speaking with customers and meeting new people. So yeah, it's horror collectibles, sci-fi, like Joe's, stuff like that.
So this is actually your first convention you're setting up at?
Correct. Normally I'm all
nice.
fine. So.
Oh, nice. And I wanted to talk to April with you. You have a pretty fascinating career because, like you said, you've done a lot of stuff. You've even done children's books. You're an author. You've done a lot of stuff. But when you first started so obviously you're a professional wrestler. You were a professional wrestler. And you got involved with that, right? Because you were obviously you were a Playboy Playmate, but you were in the same magazine with Paige, right? And that's how you got discovered by the Wrestling Federation? Or was it WCW?
It was,
correct?
yeah. There was DDP's wife was in there, and they sent out a talent scout. So yeah, I was in the same issue as her, and they recruited me. So it was interesting because I lived in Las Vegas at the time, and I went over to LA, and that was in 2000, and started with them. So I was doing a lot of fitness stuff. I was competing in fitness, and just sort of.
That was your interest, right? Actually, was fitness. You wanted to be like
fitness and centerfold work. That was what I was doing at the time. So just modeling in general. I started modeling when I was, I think, 15 or 16 years old. I was doing catalog work, and at the department stores had these live mannequins. And I was just ever since I was young, I was kind of hustling and working. I remember I was tall when I was a kid, so I lied about my age, and I was pet sitting and babysitting since I was 12 years old. And so I've always kind of been a hustler and entrepreneur and self-employed, and anything to avoid working for somebody else, basically. So, yeah.
Because I read, I think that when you had first got into wrestling, you didn't even, it was more like a paycheck for you, right? You were kind of not really interested.
So I grew up watching basically MMA, and I've been trained in martial arts since I was, I guess, 10 or 11. And that was only because my brother got into karate, and my dad was a wrestler, and not a professional wrestler, amateur wrestler, and knew judo. So he just kind of trained me. I was joking around. He trained me to become unrapeable, and that worked. But my brother was in karate classes and hated it, and they couldn't get a refund. So they looked at me. There weren't any girls in there except for the sensei's daughters. So they looked at me. They're like, "I don't know, we can't get our money back. Do you want to go?" I was like, "Yeah." So I started taking the karate classes. So I was always martial arts, and I looked at wrestling at that particular time when I joined, and growing up too, because part of my growing up was Alabama, where wrestling was a religion. So I looked at it as like, oh my God, these guys are screaming at each other. "Oh, you know what, brother?" Like all that with these brightly colored tights. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So later on, I began to respect the pure athleticism of it all. And I understood that You have to preserve the storylines for, they never have an off season. So you have to keep the storylines going. So therefore you have to make sure the endings stay copacetic to keep those storylines going, but there's still a genuine athleticism about it. But at the time, being a quote unquote pure athlete, I was just like, oh my God, what is this? So, but yeah, I ended up going back to school later when I got out of it to Full Sail University and got my degree in writing for entertainment. So it was, film writing, and I did a lot of actually horror writing for that too. Horror comedy. Actually, horror and comedy are very similar with writing. You can flip that script very easily. So, and that's when I started publishing various different things, including the children's book.
And I also know you were like, actually, I did not grow up on wrestling. I think Ed might have grown up on wrestling. I didn't grow up too much on it, but I do know that you took the Killer Klowski wrestling school, but you actually hated, right? Wrestling training, like the wrestling training school. I had heard you say was actually one of the worst experiences you ever had.
No, it was one of the hardest. So I didn't, I didn't
okay.
hate it. Yeah, it was Killer Kowalski's Pro Wrestling Institute in Boston. And most people quit very rapidly. And the same thing, most people quit Full Sail University very rapidly because it was a 24/7 advanced school. So two of my biggest accomplishments are to have made it through Kowalski's and Full Sail. Because I like for me, when I decide I'm doing something, I'm doing it. Oh, I love it. It's like you have your own entrance music. Woo. So yeah, there was Kowalski's was the most difficult, I think it was the most difficult thing I've ever done. When you go through wrestling, you don't realize, and this is another reason I became so respectful of the wrestlers. You don't realize how the professionals make it look easy, because for the first literal year that I was there, and within a few months I did walk away because I was like, this really hurts. It was so much easier to be athletic when all I had to do was look athletic and compete based on my looks and doing, military obstacle courses. But this was a different thing. The training.
And you had some injuries too.
Oh my God. The worst injury I had was turf toe at the time. It was excruciating. I didn't know, when you don't actually break your toe, you just bend it in the worst way and screw up all your ligaments and tendons. It's worse. But the training there is like it's like being in the worst CrossFit training of your life with no warning or no warm up, and also a really bad fender bender at the same time. So you're hurting in every way this way, like internally and externally. Like you've got the whole thing, and it never stops. And eventually your body kind of gets used to that, to the point where if you go to the chiropractor, they're like, you're my worst patient. I can't crack you. There's so much going on. You're so tight. You're so dense. There's so much of a callus in your body. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So, but it's a challenging thing that I didn't realize.
Those WWE's, the show that shows them people trying to get a spot on the roster. My buddy, I have a friend that did what you did. He did it with the Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes,
yes.
And he said it was the most brutal thing in his life, and it hurt. And he hurt even when he wasn't doing it. It hurt. Yep,
you hurt all the time.
Yep, those guys work 300 days a year.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Yeah, there's no off season, nothing, and it's like, and if you take time off, there's a chance you could never come back because they'll slide somebody else into your spot. And as a female, there were even fewer spots for us at the time. We were lucky if we got one match per show, whereas the guys, they filled the 2 hours with all guys. So if you were a female, basically you were just like, suck it up, tape it up, duct tape.
Especially in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Until the Litas and all the big names, started coming in.
Yeah.
They were respected. Mm-hmm. And you were in WCW, which was like the competing industry to WWE, so, or WWF back then. So
Yeah.
I'm a wrestling freak.
That's okay.
Tony don't know shit about wrestling. I grew up on that shit.
I appreciate that.
I mean,
Thank
Polish
you.
Hammer, Ivan Kowalski. I mean, my grandmother used to freak out when he would do the Polish Hammer.
Yep.
I mean, you know,
The Claw.
Superfly, all the great, it was crazy.
Bruno Sammartino.
Yep, that was her thing, because my grandmother lived in Newark, so New Jersey. You go up to the Garden. You got it.
Yep.
You got or the Brendan Byrne Arena over there in Jersey.
Yeah, it's like it's funny the rabid love of it and love for it. So, and if you go to some other countries, they really appreciate it even more than we do. So Japan, the Japanese people have a really long memory. They're wrestling, and like Mexico too. The Japanese, the Mexicans, that's part of their culture.
What's crazy is Florida. I used to wait tables there. We used to always wait on the wrestlers. Like, when I was younger, everybody lived there. Valentine lived
still
there.
do.
That's what Savage, before he died, he lived right by us. Hogan, everyone lived in that area, like in St. Pete and Tampa.
2 airports that fly direct.
Yeah. They would come. You would see wrestlers at the airport. You're right, because I remember going there, and I can't remember Eddie something. He passed away a few years ago. He was a big name. I saw him at the airport. Can't
Guerrero.
He was a big wrestler. Yes.
2 airports that fly direct, and in Sarasota it was all the circus people. So, and not too far away you had all the psychics. So it's kind of like an area of freaks. And bodybuilders, so like nobody stares at us. We're normalized here, so you can walk around, with muscles and breast implants and all that stuff, and nobody stares at you or bothers you. So it's nice to, not.
Well, Florida marches to the beat of it, so as we all know, we've all lived there. It does its own thing.
Yeah.
And obviously anybody who's listening, we lost Andy.
We did.
So we did lose.
What happened?
We lost Andy. Yeah, I don't know. We had some volume issues, I think, going on. So I don't know. We lost Andy. He might pop back on. But, and with the conventions, we'll talk about what the convention now too is. So I know. So for April, for you with the conventions, you're involved with a lot of the aspects of conventions, or the horror movie conventions too, because you do like the cosplay stuff you've done, and you do a lot of comic book stuff, which we'll talk about too. I see Andy's popping back up. And Carman, for you, like there's a lot of the vendors. There's I know when I would go to the horror conventions, there's some great toy selections there, some great figures or posters and stuff like that. So that's going to be something that, for your first time, I think you're really going to dig.
Well, sure. I can add a wrestling angle to this, because Fred Olin Ray is going to be there. He's a regular guest. My first experience with Fred was at Dragon Con, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. I filmed a spot that he was going to do with Piper. Well, Piper didn't make it, so another gentleman, a local guy, came in, and I filmed that. So that's my only connection. I don't know which gimmick that Fred Ray was using at the time, but it was cool. It was a lot of fun. That's my connection between horror, because Fred Olin Ray is of course, a director, famous director, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers and all, but he's also a wrestler. So that's my connection. Gimmick. Well, yeah. That's Carney, obviously. It's just his persona, his wrestling persona. I can't remember what he used, but yeah.
We do have Andy back with us too. Andy, so when you're booking guests, so when you started to do, let's start from the beginning of this. When you first decided to do this convention, like, what was your idea? Did you think it would be going on 9 conventions later, or was it just kind of this, because I mean, obviously we were talking before the show, me and Carman actually, and I remember back in the day with Spooky Empire, when it was a small convention. I mean, in one room, and it's grown obviously, and you've been doing 9 so far. When you first started doing this, what was your idea?
Well, I first want to mention that the first time I met both Carman in person and April was at Tampa Bay Screams. It was, I think, Carman, I met you last year, if that's correct, and April, I've seen you a few times before.
Mm-hmm.
IRL, yeah.
Exactly. But I knew Carman before that. I was an online friend. So the history with Tampa Bay Screams is the previous owner, Sean Donahue, who is still a good friend of mine and a trusted advisor. He ran the convention for a number of years, about 8 years, I'm assuming. And he had put it up for sale in late 2022, and a partner and I purchased it in 2023. So, for this particular convention coming up in June, we wanted to emulate what Sean had established for the most part, because I thought he did a great job, and everybody had such a good time. As April said, it's a great place to network. It's a great place to meet celebrities and maybe get a little more time with them than you would at other conventions.
And it's a party.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a celebrity-driven convention. We've always had really good celebrities. We're kind of known for our scream queens, who, such as April, who come in as celebrities and who get to interact with the fans. We've got a lot of scream kings too coming. So Fred Olen Ray, Seth Scalari, Jeff Lieberman. So it's a guest-driven convention with great vendors, and it's always a great time shopping at Tampa Bay Screams, because you have a lot of great vendors like Carman who sell vintage toys, movie posters, gifts. You can buy crochet items, tumblers, whatever you can dream of, whatever you can think of.
Weird books.
Mm-hmm. We have, April's an author. We have so many authors represented at the convention. So anything you're looking for as far as horror, and even if you just want to come out and people watch, it's a great time.
And you mentioned, we'll talk about the comic books, April. You've actually been how would I put it? I don't know how so you were the subject of some comic books, right? Your character was based off of you, basically. I'll let you explain. But you worked with George Perez and stuff?
Yeah. I've worked for a bunch of, I've been doing, I'll get to that in 1 second. Let me build off of what Andy said. I'm a big fan of figurines and interesting books and toys too. So I've actually gotten some rare, cool toys at the show as well, like vintage Barbies, and some of the authors are there and they'll sign the books for you. I got this really cool Halloween book. It's the whole entire history of Halloween and Samhain. So you get some really unique stuff there that you can't get anywhere else. So if you're a collector, that alone is worth coming into. So yeah, I have done work with artists my whole entire career. So I started with various small artists, and I've worked with Boris Vallejo, Julie Strain, who is an amazing photographer, as well as an amazing actress and scream queen and model, and rest her peacefully. And I started working for the Marvel and DC artists as well. So, as well as some of the smaller comic books. So I was part of Sirens, which was a comic through Boom Studio Comics and George Perez. I have my own comics, Code Red, Stripper Viking. There's various other comics. I'm on a Red Sonja variant cover. There's a bunch. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of them right now, but if you see some of the Boris Vallejo redhead warrior type of things, that's me. So yeah, I do a bunch of different things. So.
And when you book the guests, Andy, how do you go about that? Because is it hard to get I know that when you're booking, do you try to find a lot of the Florida talent first to bring in?
Well, I think in the case of the June show, April, I think you were the first guest that I booked.
Really?
Cool. Yeah, I had seen April and like April said, you mentioning about her career. April's like Red Sonja, kind of just stepping out of the comic book, and there she is, like in the convention center. So, just I personally grew up on Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, science fiction, horror, illustrated comics, and magazines back in the 70s. So, just seeing April there is like I said, like something popping out of the comic, and there she is at the convention. So April was the easiest decision of all. And I like returning guests. We're having Fred Olen Ray back again, Denise Duff, but I also realize that a lot of fans out there, they want to see maybe some faces that they haven't seen before at the convention. That always seems to be of interest to the fans. You know, getting somebody who has maybe been to Florida before, this first Florida con. We've got, I think, 3 or 4 celebrities where this is their first Florida convention. So we're pretty happy about that. Like Michelle Bauer, she's famous for appearing in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, directed by Fred Olen Ray. So she'll be here. Seth Sclary is going to be here from Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. This is Jeff Lieberman's first Florida convention. He directed Squirm and Blue Sunshine. Those are mid to late 70s horror science fiction thrillers. And we've got Erin Brown. Now, Erin is a scream queen, formerly known as Misty Monday, but she was very popular in the, I would say, late 1990s and into the 2000s. Just did so many great movies, and she's still making movies now. And her director, Victor Bonacore, will be with us as well. And we're very excited to have them. This will be their first Florida Con as well. So we've got a lot of first Florida Cons in our lineup.
And Andy, you're a filmmaker too, right? So Filthy was the first thing you ever did?
Yes, Filthy was a short film we did we shot it in 2002. We released it on DVD in 2004. And that was like, that was like a bumper crop of filmmakers. Rick Danford, who's another one of our guests, is going to be here. He directed films during that time period as well. And Filthy was about a maniacal group of hoarders who lured this reporter into their home and proceeded to torture and terrorize her for the duration of the film. And it's a popular short. It's kind of a notorious cult movie short that kind of kicked off, my cinematic career. And then we kind of shifted gears to a movie called Brainjacked, which was a science fiction horror thriller, came out in 2010. And then we worked with Herschel Gordon Lewis, the famous godfather of gore, when he directed the Uh-Oh Show for us back in 2009. And we remember Herschel fondly in our memories, and star Brooke McCarter. Brooke was one of the Lost Boys in the movie, and he was our game show host in the Uh-Oh Show. And we're actually going to be having the Uh-Oh Show wheel at the convention. So it's a giant, I think it's 8 feet tall, spinning wheel that we're doing a promotion with Ruth Eckerd Hall and the Billheimer Theater to give away tickets to Old Gods of Appalachia, Unhallowed Ground show, and also Ancient Aliens Live at Ruth Eckerd. So we're doing a promotion where you get to spin the wheel and see if you win a chance to get those tickets, but only people who are eligible is if they buy tickets in advance and have the weekend passes.
So, Carmen, for a sec, I want to talk about, with toys. What is the horror toys now? What is the big thing out? Or are you basically doing retro, or are you kind of
doing retro? The only thing new that I do is really some of the metal stuff. I really don't collect them myself, but I know people like them. They're the little figures that are
Super Sevens,
yeah, like stuff like that, and you have the mascot from Megadeth, mascot from Motorhead and whatnot, stuff like that, and some other stuff like tumblers and shot glasses and stuff. That's the kind of new stuff. But I really specialize in more 60s, 70s, early 80s stuff. Old Joes, new Joes from the 80s, so I consider that new. Things like that. And I have some odd collectibles too, horror collectibles that were premiums and whatnot. Those kind of are things that I specialize in. That's pretty much what I do. But it's wide ranging. But it does run the gamut between metal. That's why it's kind of related to your podcast. Is metal and hardcore and punk stuff that I have. Some stuff that's signed, things this stuff that I've accumulated and that has been stuff that I've sold on my eBay store, but that's pretty much what I do. Yeah, but it's mostly vintage. That's what I kind of specialize in.
eBay kind of sucks now, right?
Yeah,
with them because they're pretty much pulling all these fucking fees from you and stuff.
It's become very difficult. Yeah, for sure.
Everything has on the internet. That's all
I started in '99 doing it, so it's a lot of different. It's a way different than it was then.
Yeah.
So
I was putting up some metal T-shirts probably like a couple years ago because I have like ridiculous. Probably over 700 T-shirts. And I was just getting rid of some, and they were selling for okay prices.
Yep.
The problem was that when I looked at the fees that eBay was taking from me, I was just like, you know what? I'll just keep them.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
just
but
it's not just the fees. It's the scumbags who say they didn't receive it, or they try to return it and you get an empty box. Yeah, no. And eBay doesn't side with the seller, not realizing that without the seller they don't have an eBay.
It's like that across the board too. They're just trying to, yeah, they're trying to like kill the small business person. It's Etsy did the same thing. It's terrible. So, by the way, since you're a metal show, have you seen the headbanging horse?
I have not seen that.
You have to look that up.
I will have to write this down and see this now.
Look up the headbanging horse. This horse loves Slayer, Megadeth, and it's funny that the owner will play the music for it, and the horse is literally on point, like yeah, it's awesome.
Now I know Carman is. Are you guys all into heavy music? Like, are you guys all into that? You know, obviously we're pretty much a metal horror podcast, you know. But are you guys all into that stuff, or it's okay not to be? Obviously,
yes. I'm into everything. I'm into all good music.
There you go. How about you, Andy?
I was talking to Carman about this because I consider Carman just the expert, and also friend Mark Zickwolf. He was my classmate at Northeast High School. He was a good guy. I just want to say a shout out to Mark. You know Mark?
I know
okay.
Mark worked at Sound Exchange.
Sure did.
For years. I know Mark. Yeah, I know Mark very well. He's a fellow Raider fan, actually.
Yep.
You know Mark.
Absolutely. I worked at Camelot Music. There was a record store back in the old days, and Mark used to come in all the time. We used to chat. And he was the metal fan. I was kind of more of a new waver punker back in the day. But I really appreciate the art and the people. People have such a misunderstanding of heavy metal people, punk people, and horror people. They think maybe because of their appearance or that they're kind of hard edged. These people, they're just ready to take somebody and just smash them into the ground. But they're really the nicest people you ever want to meet.
Yeah. We always say that, we guys from Cannibal Corpse and all these bands are like the nicest dudes. I mean, when you're dealing with them, me and Ed have been playing in bands for over 20 years. That's what we still do. Ed still tours around, and these guys are some of the. Actually, I used to book concerts, and actually, it's the opposite. The bands that are like more of the squeaky clean or the, I don't know what you would call it, preppy or whatever. They're the douchebags, and it's weird how it works.
So
wrestling's the same way. The guys who play bad guys, or the people that play bad guys are usually the nicest people, and the ones who play the good guys are usually the douchebags.
Here, and you speak of that, April, and I wanted to, obviously I was not a big wrestling guy, but when I was a kid, I was. It was on every Saturday morning. It was on for with 2 hours. They would play but I was a Macho Man fan when I was a little kid. He was like the bad guy back then. But did you ever deal with Randy? Actually,
I did not. I know he was extraordinarily possessive of Miss Elizabeth, though.
Remember her too? Yeah, he was a baseball player too at one time.
Yeah, a lot of people really love his brother. Loved his brother Lanny Poffo. So
Poffo, that's right. I do remember him
extremely popular.
The genius. Am I right?
Yeah, he was extremely well respected with the locker room.
And do you get with wrestling fans, I always wondered, it was probably the same as anything. And Andy, and you might even know this from doing conventions. What is the weirdest fan interaction you deal with? Because I'm sure, April, you've dealt with some weird interactions. I'm pretty much guaranteeing it, but I mean, what is some of the strangest that you've dealt with before that you want to say?
You're asking Andy, right?
No,
you're asking me? Oh my God.
Yeah, I figured you had to deal with some. Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin, honestly. There's so many. Oh my God. All right. I guess you know what wow. Okay. All right. Here's one. Here's one. I've got to search the database because there's just a big database here. All right, there was one. I was working at Comic-Con up in New Jersey, and I was working with an artist, Jay Fife, who's an amazing artist. And we had 2 guys come in, and the one kid asked Jay if he could draw me with the kid in a very X-rated position for him. And he gave him, he wanted to, and this was the shame of it is we got snowed out that weekend. So only a few people came in. It was a really well done convention. We had like the guys from The Walking Dead were there. We had a DC artist there. We had guys from Star Wars there. The guy from Spartacus was there. And everybody just ended up like passing around liquor and sitting there and having a great time and networking. So 17 fans came in the whole weekend because it was snowed out. It was the 17 fans who might have had like a 4-wheel drive and were brave enough to come out. And no one was making any money. So the kid was willing to pay Jay to, and I will do nudity, but I don't do anything porn or X-rated. And nudity is not porn, by the way, people. So as Europeans know, but Americans still get confused about.
Exactly. Yes. See the beaches
Yeah,
here.
yeah, we're so puritanical. So yeah, this kid was willing to pay Jay a handsome amount to draw me and him in a very compromising, very insertable position. And Jay actually said no. And I'm standing right there. And he's asking for it right. He had no shame. No shame. He's right there. And he was like, I masturbate to her all the time. I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck? So he's like, I would just like something a little bit more descriptive. I'm like, no, I'm not. I look at Jay and I said to him, I'm like, I said, I know this convention sucks right now. And you paid for this table. I said, so you do whatever works for you. I wouldn't fault you for it. I understand money is money. So Jay's like, no, I'm not doing that. So I give him a lot of credit, but that was a really weird exchange right there.
That is
that
crazy.
was a weird one for me. And I've got a bunch.
That's New
more
Jersey
just
for
like
you.
No, I think that's everywhere. But yeah. So
Yeah,
Jersey and Philly.
it's like the guys
Jersey,
at the
Philly,
strip
those are my
bars with the
people, but still,
sweatpants.
yeah.
Yeah. And Andy, what about you? Have you had any problems at the conventions? Was everyone pretty well behaved there? And
everybody's pretty well behaved there. I mean, you have a colorful cast of characters that walk around and you chat with them, and just some people are kind of doing their own thing. But the only thing that really stands out would be a guy kind of came around and was kind of looking for, as April suggested, kind of the more softcore type of movies, and he was kind of checking out some of my stuff, kind of looking through it, and all I did was mention that I had I think a movie called Witches of Breastwick with Stormy Daniels in it. Just happened to have Stormy in there, and he kind of eyed it for at the beginning of the show, and then he made it a point to come back and get it at the end of the show. So I got to thank the guy for purchasing. I was a vendor that year, so.
And have you had any, when you're dealing with celebrities, have you had any problems with, I'm not going to ask you to mention any names because I know this is your business. Have you ever dealt with a difficult celebrity there?
This is going to be a boring answer, but so far, no. I mean, everybody's been.
Yeah, that's good.
They give it time, right? Absolutely. I mean, there have been some I've interacted with that weren't available or, didn't know much about the show, but it's always been cordial, and I try to be as nice as possible to the celebrities because, maybe it might not be this year, but, maybe in the future, get them back, get them over here to see, and it's, Tampa Bay is a beach town. It's, a great place to, you could morph your appearance into a vacation, if you have a family, bring your family, kids, and go to the beach, for the rest of the week if you wanted to. So it's a kind of a win-win for everybody. If you're a celebrity, you want to come in for the show, or even an attendee.
Yeah, we've grown.
You mentioned Tampa Bay, and you've done.
I was gonna say this area has grown so much. I mean, in the last couple of years, it is unbelievable how much Tampa Bay has grown, or Florida in general. I mean, we've gotten to where we have, I think it's at least 2 extra seats in the House of Representatives now because of our population growth. So, the conventions and
thanks to all the New Yorkers coming down here.
Yeah, it's everything. It's Californians, it's New Yorkers, it's the typical with the Ohio and the Boston, but we're getting so many people here. The conventions are getting bigger too, and we're getting more of a film presence because of course all the Californians are coming here and they're bringing their well, we're creative, so we're going to do our thing, and hopefully they don't vote that same way, but so but they're bringing their talent with them, so we're getting a lot more of a presence and a creativity and a talent pool here too. So it's been wonderful, except for the prices.
Yeah,
and the
prices,
traffic,
definitely.
But hey,
Traffic.
yeah, the traffic's been challenging.
Yeah.
But take the good with the bad.
And they're building a lot. I've heard it's really building up too. And you mentioned the Tampa Bay area, and I wanted to mention something that you did, Andy. You did a couple of years ago at the Tampa Theater. You did the 40th anniversary of the 1974 film Satan's Children, which was actually filmed in Tampa. I'll give us some details about that because that movie was not only filmed in Tampa, but most of the cast was from Tampa. Correct?
That is correct. That was a lot of fun. I caught wind that this movie was made in Tampa, and I'm like, well, I kind of wonder if the cast and crew is still around. So I just love doing that kind of research, and was able to track down a lot of the members. Some of them have passed on, such as the director, sadly, but the star of the movie, some of the other actors, the crew, a lot of them are still around, and if they weren't here, they were still reachable through other means on social media, email, whatever. So we did manage to get a lot of them together, and we showed the film at Tampa Theater and did a Q&A. Joel Weinkoop, who was supposed to be with us today, he's the king of the B movies. He's an actor. He's one of our celebrity guests. He hosted the show that we did at Tampa Theater, the screening, and then did the Q&A afterward. And that was just a lot of fun to kind of see the people who were involved in this movie all live there, right there at the theater. And it was a great time for the fans. And I've had them together again for other conventions, just not, actually I did get them together for Tampa Bay Screams a few years ago as a favorite of Sean Donahue, who was running the show at the time. And I'm hoping to, just a little preview, I'm hoping to get them back for, if not the next show, then the one after that. We're going to be doing more Tampa Bay Screams, and I'll let the fans know more about that as in time.
Is it going to be like more than once a year, or pretty much once a year still? Or that you got to keep that under the hat still?
I personally would like to do it more than once a year. I know Sean had done it that way, and people, they don't want to wait that long. They don't want to wait a year for the next one. They want 2 a year, maybe 3 a year. I'll do whatever it takes to bring horror to the fans and science fiction and cult movies. It's in my blood to do that.
Yay.
You mentioned with the Satan's Children, that was Joe Waziski, right?
Yes.
Did that movie. And he actually was involved with Shock Theater, which, from back in the day too, the guy had in Tampa, talk about Tampa history. That was somebody who had a big part of that Tampa history there, doing those films and stuff.
Tony, you're absolutely right. Joe is a real hero. I mean, he produced Shock Theater, Shock Armstrong show back in the 60s. This is before my time, but even Rob Zombie, the director, I think does homages to Shock Armstrong, like in some of his videos. I don't know if it was for him or White Zombie, but I think there is some imagery. Carman, you might know this. If it's any imagery of,
you're right. I can't remember which one. I think it was White Zombie and not Rob Zombie. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I seem to remember like a Don Post Frankenstein mask with a football jersey. That was kind of the look of
yes, I do know. Yes.
And he kind of snuck his way into some of the imagery in Rob Zombie's work. So Shock Armstrong is not forgotten, and we're certainly going to remember him at Tampa Bay Screams.
I wonder why there's nobody now in Tampa. There's no more horror hosts, right? Because when we actually had Count Gore Duvall on the show, probably like 5 months ago. Count was on, been a long time horror host, but it seems to be a thing that's, I guess, with the internet now. And actually, Count Gore Duvall does do an internet. He actually does a web page where he does all the old B movies and stuff, I guess, on there still. But it seems to be a lost art, right? All the old horror hosts.
Well, it's actually not a lost art, because if you go on YouTube, there's a ton now. There's a renaissance.
Oh, so there's still newer ones
absolutely
coming
a ton
out.
actually, and some really good ones. You just have to seek them out. So absolutely, like
Yeah, 'cause we were kids.
Newcastle After Dark. I don't. They don't. Maybe they watch this, maybe they don't, but they need a shout out because they're a terrific new duo who are horror hosts. They're terrific. So.
Because as kids, it was a great thing.
Well,
You know,
I think that the problem was we turned on the TV and what'd you have? 5 channels,
yeah.
and you ran into it. You didn't really have a choice. It was that was what was on. So you were lucky enough to be born into that. Now you turn on. I mean, I haven't had cable. I don't know when the last time I had actual cable TV, because streaming, you can find everything you want. There's nothing on cable that's worth the money they charge.
You know how much cable costs here in Lithuania, guys? $43 a month. Full cable. It's crazy. After living in Florida, I'm like, holy shit, this is like a whole different. The prices are so different.
$43 get you a box. You know,
yeah.
you get not the signal, just the box.
Exactly. Yeah, it's totally different now. But so Andy, we got a couple weeks till this is taking place, right? And give out, first of all, if you want to announce all the guests, if you want to run through all the guests again and just give out some details, a web page where they can find all the information for Tampa Screams and stuff. And we do plan on being out there next year, me and Ed.
Well, we'd love to see you and Ed there. That would be fantastic. And you're welcome anytime. You guys are official sponsors. And we'd like to thank our other official sponsors, Born to Ride Magazine and Grindhouse Releasing. Our guest lineup, just so the fans know and everybody listening, we've got April Hunter, who is here with us.
Woo!
We have
What's up, April?
Scream Queens galore. We got April. We've got Michelle Bauer, star of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. We have Aaron Brown, who is in a movie called Thrust. Victor Bonacore is the director of Thrust, and he will be here as well. Fred Olin Ray and Fred and Michelle Bauer did so many movies together. So many movies, in fact, that to this day, I cannot keep track of them. There are just so many on IMDb. So we're going to have reunions galore with Fred and Michelle. Fred is a famous director of a lot of our favorite B movies. We have Jeff Lieberman, who directed Squirm in 1976. It was a worm nature run amok movie, well loved, and Blue Sunshine, a science fiction horror thriller from 1977, 78 years. We have Seth Sclary from Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, one of the greatest zombies of all time, Orville. If you ever see Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which was filmed in Florida, down in Miami, you have to see it. It's like the first horror movie to feature fast-moving zombies. And Seth was, take it from me, he was one of the greatest zombies, not just in that movie, but of all time. Just the end of the film will just blow you away. So definitely try to come out and see Seth. He'll be here, and can't wait to meet the fans. We have Joel Weinkoop, who was going to be here with us today. Maybe due to some technical difficulties, he wasn't able to join us, but he will be there with Kathy Weinkoop. And we're going to have a lot of Florida independent filmmakers. Rick Danford, Chris Woods, Sean Donahue, who used to own the convention, will be here. Dustin Hubbard, Kai Hornick. We've got some actresses. Sushi Yvette Holder will be here. Crystal Pixie Adams. Those are actresses, pinup models. They work on crew. Sometimes they're just to help out with the production. So whether you're looking for national celebrities, international celebrities, or local celebrities, they will all be here. And our website is called TampaBayScreams.com. It's very simple, TampaBayScreams.com.
And, we're going to let you guys out of here in a few minutes. I just want to ask you, when was each of your first conventions that you ever went to or ever did? I'll start with April. We can start with you.
Actually, I believe I started on horror conventions. I think it was Day of the Dead up in Indianapolis. I lived in Kentucky at the time, Louisville. So I was doing Day of the Dead, and then I started doing the horror convention circuit because I also do horror movies on the side and action movies on the side, which I failed to mention. So I was invited to do some of these conventions, and they were so much fun. It's almost like a party too. And when you meet the fans, some of them become great friends. So I was working with a couple of comic book people, writers and artists who were the vendors at the time who brought me in to work their booth. And I just got hooked. I just loved the environment. And then I started meeting some of the other celebrities there and became friends with them. Like Norman Reedus, so who was in between things at the time. He had done Boondock Saints, and I remember he was just kind of sitting there bored at his table. And now he has to stay extra hours to get everybody in that wants to have him sign stuff, and he does. I can tell you he has not changed one bit from the guy I originally met to who he is now. So he's still the same person.
It's funny you say that, April.
Yeah.
I think I told Ed the same story. I went to Spooky Empire when Boondock Saints, right before Walking Dead really hit. Mm-hmm. And he was there, and there was nobody at his table. Nope. There might have been like 4 people. Yeah. And then a couple years later, it's like around the building. It was crazy to see that jump, because I'm telling you, it was like nobody there.
It though.
It was and it just got crazy. And if the films you were in, if you want to name some of the films you were in, also, April, for people to check out. I know you were in a bunch of wrestling stuff, a bunch of some horror films too. You did.
I'm blanking. The most recent one is called
the meat puppets.
Yeah,
April?
Thank you. Meat Puppet. The Meat Puppet. The most recent is called The Clock, and the filmmaker will be there at Tampa Bay Screams for that one. We just did a Chucky movie also. What else? One called A House Collapse in Japan, which, believe it or not, that's one of the coolest things I ever did that hardly anybody saw. But if you look it up online, it is badass. It's an action horror movie. Oh my gosh. If you go to my IMDb page, April Hunter, it'll have it. And I have clips on YouTube. My YouTube page is April Hunter. There's all kinds of stuff on there. But that's my cheap plug right there. Also, Patreon, April Hunter. Yeah. Aha. So,
there you go.
But yeah, there's a bunch of things. I'm blanking on all of them because I'm a night person. This is morning, and you're asking me questions on just one cup of coffee. So, but yeah, I've done my fair share of horror movies that no one really knows, but hopefully they will be seen and exploited one day.
And do you have a page people can find you at? Like you do Instagram or anything that you?
Yeah, Instagram is real April Hunter, Twitter's April Hunter, Patreon April Hunter, aprilhunter.net. By the way, you have to be over 18 for that one. And I am a host of The A Show with April Hunter on Twitch and YouTube, where smart is the new sexy.
There you go. Carman, Ozzy or Dio?
Oh, wow. I can't really. They're two different eras and two different personas. And if who I would rather sit down and have a beer with, Dio. That's what I'll say.
What more for you, Bond or Johnson?
Bond.
Okay,
sure.
I have to.
I like not that I dislike him, but Bond for sure. But then if I had a drink with him, it'd probably be my last drink.
Yeah. Died in a car. I love Bon Scott. And your first convention that you ever went to?
The first that I ever worked was the one Dragon Con about 15 years ago or more now with Fred, when I did that, filmed his wrestling bit. But I think I've been going to conventions since the late 80s and whatnot, Star Trek conventions and stuff. Just been a fan, into the whole pop culture fandom thing forever. So,
Andy, so we're gonna run. So the rest of this month, we're gonna run plugs for you for the show and stuff. For the so the Tampa Bay Screams, which we said is a 2-day event. TampaBayScreams.com. We'll be putting flyers up on the pages too for you. We really appreciate you guys coming on. I know it's got to be busy. People probably don't realize what goes into putting on a convention. It's got to be busy as hell for you guys. And you guys, like I said, we could do all. I mean, Carmen, we could have you on to talk about toy for hours. April Hunter, I know you got a very deep career that we could go on about too. Everybody, we appreciate. Andy, I know you've done a lot of stuff too, especially in the Tampa Bay area. I know you also, you also work with WUSF. You're a journalist and you do a lot of stuff. But didn't you did some stuff for Fangoria magazine too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. That was in relation to the Satan's Children project that we were talking about earlier. It was kind of a neat. I think it was around the 2014 time period, maybe 2015. It was just kind of a neat period where, someone, I think Fangoria got wind that I was doing this screening and that had managed to get the cast and crew together, and they had asked me to write a piece about the movie that they could publish in the magazine, and I was overjoyed to have the opportunity. So it was a 2-part story. It did appear in Fangoria. It actually appeared in the very last proper issue of Fangoria. That the original run of Fangoria's, I think the Satan's Children Part 2 article ran in the very last issue, which incidentally is very valuable. So collectors, keep a lookout for that. It's actually a good article. I think chock full of information. So, fans definitely, if you're inclined to check out the movie, check out the article too in Fangoria, buy the back issue.
Cool. Well, guys, we really appreciate you coming on. I know we kept you here for a while, and as always, we're looking forward to everybody's going to stop by, go to the convention. You can go, like he said, TampaBayScreams.com. April, thank you for coming on. Carman, thank you for coming on. Andy, thank you for coming on. I'll be talking to you during the week, I'm sure. And we'll say goodbye to you when we hang up here. But on the way out, Ed, we're going to play Gruesome. We're going to play the new Gruesome song. And we will be back on the Tampa Morgue right after this track. Thanks, guys. Everybody from Tampa Bay Screams, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back on the Morgue after this track. There you go. That was Gruesome with the song for Frailty. And Ed, we had talked about that tune, right? That is definitely Gruesome. Definitely kind of, you could tell what period they're kind of going after now.
Yeah, and I saw Gus Rios put up a video of him in the studio knocking out the drums, and he put a little excerpt with him sitting with Jarrett Pritchard, checking it out, and Eulogy, and everything else. He's a fucking great engineer. He's a mastermind. I'll be honest with you, in everything he touches. But yeah, I heard it and I could just go. I was like, it was just a probably 15-second clip, but you could hear the riffs that were being played, and it was completely human. It's crazy. I don't get how they do it, but props to Matt and Gus and
Robin and Daniel.
Daniel, man, because those guys shred and they figure it out. I'll tell you, just to take riffs and reverse them and make them sound that unique to me is an art.
They have a release coming out actually in a couple. They're doing a split with Sabbath that will come out on June 21st on Dementia Records. So
yeah, I just saw that their demo that they put out that came out 10 years ago, like yesterday or the day before. 10 years. Like I'm just like wow, because I remember.
That's right. Because Savage Land came out in 2015.
I can remember being on the DTA tour. Gus Rios was Sean from DTA's drum tech, and he came on our bus.
Ed, on that tour, or I think it was that tour we played at Crowbar with them in Tampa.
Yeah, but Sean wasn't on the tour. Gene was on the tour. Sean left the tour three shows in, but I remember Gus coming on and telling us about this band Gruesome that he was doing, which was a death thing, and Eric Greif told us, yeah, I gave him my blessing. You guys are going to freak out. This stuff is real authentic sounding death style music, and nobody knew. But fast forward 10 years, here you are, and we've done a bunch of shows. I've done a few shows with Gruesome. I know I did 3.
We did 2. Well, I did 2 with you. We did
Orlando and
Miami and Tampa and Miami. Did we do Orlando with Gruesome too?
Did you do Tampa? Or we did a different
Tampa at the Crowbar. We did
a different date with them here. So I played with them 4 times because I did 2 shows with them with Hideous.
Yeah, and then we did 2 with
Then we went down to Miami, Generichrist, because Hideous didn't do the Miami show. So
what was that place we played at in Miami? The Tiki or the
something like that? That was a weird venue.
It's a weird setup. Yeah, it was a weird setup.
But it worked. Who knows? And we played in Tampa at the Old World Brewery, which was a first for me because I'd never played there. Yeah, that was Hideous's first show.
Yeah, I remember that show. Yeah, that's right. It was actually we had good weather. It was outdoor. I liked that bar. That was the one that we talk about sometimes. That was connected to the studio. Which
caused
good and
chaos
bad
for
thing.
Generichrist recording. Yeah,
good and bad thing during the recordings to have a bar, full-fledged bar, right connected to the studio that you can get through the studio, the back door, and get to the bar. I mean, we had the beer glasses laying around the studio. It was, that's right. So you must have played with them 4 times, but that was Gruesome. We also definitely want to thank everybody from the Tampa Bay Screams that came out. We'll be running an ad for them, an audio ad for the next couple of weeks. But it's a 2-day event, like we said, at the Pinellas Park Performing Arts Center. And that's what we said, the 28th and 29th, TampaBayScreams.com. But definitely thank you, April, Carman, and Andrew for coming on the show. We do appreciate it. And thank you for posting our logo on all your gear. That is definitely cool. And
for sure.
Ed, we we have a busy week, like we were saying. We're going to be putting out. We're going to separate the shows by a couple of days, of course, but we have a lot of recording going on in the next week and a half. A lot of guests and stuff, and just this show was actually we kind of didn't know we were going to do this show tonight. We were kind of when we talked to Tampa Bay Screams, we wanted to get together with them and get them on, and it just worked out where we can all get on at the same time.
We talked about doing a show after my birthday, just to do a show in between, but we didn't know if it was going to work out with time. But with those guys, pushing us, and then vice versa with the logo out there, and we wanted to get the convention, as much exposure as we can for whatever we can provide from this thing.
And I thought what was really cool about the Tampa Bay Screams talking to them was when April was telling us about the time you went up to her with the drawing that you wanted done.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
I didn't want to say her name when she was on, but I knew it was you, Ed.
Actually, if you remember, it was the guy the dad took his son, so it would have been me taking Bryce.
Yeah, exactly. You have to figure there's some fucking freaks, like especially if you've been in Playboy and you've been like you're a professional wrestler, you've been a professional dancer, you're gonna deal with some fucking nut jobs.
I can only imagine the shit that, especially being a female,
that's what I'm saying. For
the
a
dregs
female,
of humanity are just fucking terrible.
Yeah,
that's why I fear for my daughter, and I told you what happened to her last week at the Taco Bell.
Yeah, Ed had some dude taking pictures of his daughter. I mean, dude, that makes me insane.
And my wife. And when they called me, they couldn't understand why I was so fired up and why me and my son packed our fucking heat and took a ride to Taco Bell, because I wasn't fucking around. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if they're doing it to my daughter and my wife, who else are they doing it to? And if Taco Bell is going to allow that shit, I got a problem with that.
They could at least pick up the bill for you.
Yeah, they weren't there when I got there, so I guess they knew better. But
see, it's weird, dude. Right here, I always tell you, like, me and Ed talk off the record, off the show all the time, and like, I have 2 young girls, and living over where we're at in Eastern Europe, it's a whole. I'm not saying fucked up shit doesn't happen, because in this world there's just crazy people, but you feel much safer letting your kids go about their daily routine here.
I won't let my wife, or my wife does, but I won't let my daughter walk my dog around the corner by herself.
Yeah, see?
That's just how it is. I mean, I'm sorry. Even though my dog is big and will probably rip somebody's face off, I just don't trust it. I'm sorry. It sucks. I had to get this girl pepper spray and fucking a taser. I shouldn't have to do that. But,
see, here's not a thing, man. You might have to worry. I don't want my kids going in the streets because of cars and shit here, which is like the old fear, like when you're back in the day, I guess. But now we don't have to worry about, like, even when we're going back to Florida for a while, we're going to spend a couple months there because we have a place in St. Petersburg. I have to be honest. I'm like already like, okay, the kids aren't allowed to do this here. They're not, because my kids are used to being able to like wander a little bit in the yard and stuff.
Well, you have a yard too, and you have a condo. Yeah, you have a condo in St. Pete,
in Florida. So yeah,
it's not the same. You can't just let your kid play out back, because if you're not watching consistently, you don't know. It sucks, man. It's my daughter. Again, you have 2 youngins. I have an 18-year-old daughter that doesn't like to dress the way probably I would like. I'd like her in a burqa, but that's just me. You know what I mean? But she likes to wear those shorts, and when somebody's coming up taking a picture, that's a no-no in my book.
Yeah, and I mean,
Angry Ed was engaged. Listen, that persona, Angry Ed was engaged that day for sure. Me and Bryce, we were on a mission. My wife's like,
the angriest I ever saw you. I was trying to think of this the other day. Might have been. There was a couple times. I remember the show. There was a show at the Pegasus Lounge many moons ago where your band
got fucked. Yeah, and I told them that band played, and I stopped the show. Remember?
Yep.
I stopped the show and told them to get my fucking gear off that stage, because we weren't playing.
That might have been one of that dude. And also there's another time, which we'll talk about at a different occasion probably, but when you almost choke somebody out from another band in Orlando, and that's a whole story that we'll save for another podcast, I think, because that was definitely.
I didn't choke him out, but it was.
You wanted to choke him out though.
I wanted to do more than that.
It was a mess, but
it takes a lot. It really does. I mean, I know people like to make you pull that persona on me, but it takes a lot to get me riled. But family, that's a different animal.
Tires falling off your car after you.
That's a different animal. Well, only for that. It wasn't so much. I was thinking more if that would have been my wife or my mom. That's where the anger came in there, because they would have crashed. Like, I saved the car, they wouldn't have. That's my opinion. Even my wife said, I don't know if I could have done that. So that's where I get angry, because incompetence is no excuse. I mean, I took it to a highly rated fucking dealership and they left lug nuts off. How do you do that? You know what I mean?
That would piss me off too. Man.
I got tires on that car, not at the Ford dealership. Took it to Walmart because they were cheaper. And before I even got in the car, I was fucking grabbing the wheels. That's terrible. I shouldn't have to check people's work.
I couldn't believe when you told me that day. It was like, I just could not believe it.
I was sending you pictures. I
livid.
I don't know how I wasn't in prison.
It was one of the top 20, I would say. I've seen you pretty pissed off before, but
Well,
for
that's
good reason, though. For
that
good reason.
that one there, that destroyed property. That just, yeah, that was bad. And what pissed me off was the management. Like, literally, I put a post up on Google, like a review, because they kept fucking with me to leave a review. So I'm like, you want me to leave you a review? I got you. So I left a review with pictures, and all I got was a blanketed response from the general manager. Please let
Give
me
us a
make it
call.
right.
We'll fix
Let
this
me make it
problem.
right. Yeah, you ain't making nothing right,
Send
dude.
you a
Get out of
pizza
here.
or something,
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, so that's, but Ed, you're not always angry. I fuck with you. We all fuck with
No.
you. Starting to catch on. Anybody, he's a little angry, I gotta say, but not totally angry.
Did you see Joe's post? Joe?
Yes,
Joe?
I did for your birthday.
He actually fucking told the truth. He says, I'm really
Yeah.
not an angry guy.
Yeah, just sometimes, but not all the time. And actually, I'll be probably next weekend. I'm going to be at the Kilcombe Festival for some of that, and I'll put some. I plan on also doing some live stream from there, Instagram live. If I can hook up with that. The problem at those festivals, as Ed just told us from a couple weeks ago, is it's going to be loud as shit. They're separate stages. Carpathian Forest is playing, I'm looking forward to that. They're playing at midnight. So for you guys in America, that's 7 hours difference behind. So it's only
so if it's midnight, I'm looking.
It would be 5 o'clock your
5
time,
o'clock.
right? Yeah, 5
Yeah,
o'clock.
so I could pop on. Those festivals are run differently because the stages are further apart.
Yeah, these are a little further apart. Kilcombe,
Maryland, they were right on top of each other, so it was just because I did go back and watch a video of Hellhammer, and it was definitely way too fucking loud.
Oh yeah, so it might be like that. We'll see. I mean, but we're also, like I said earlier, we're going to have this. Diana's going to come on. I've never met her before, so it'll be our second woman come on. She's going to tell us about the festival this week. And at the festival I'm speaking about again is in Lithuania. It's the Kilcombe Festival, June 21st through the 23rd. Some of the bands that are playing are Moonspell, Rotting Christ. Who else? Jungle Rot. If I actually should have tried to get the Jungle Rot guys to come on. I really didn't think about it at the time.
They're actually good. I kind of dig Jungle Rot. Yeah,
they're playing there. Crypta, who I've never seen before. I don't know if they're playing on Saturday or not. Wow. Luctus. There's a bunch of bands, and I'll go through we'll talk to Diana about that when we have her on I think it's Wednesday or Thursday, right? Chris episode. But that'll be next weekend. I will stream from there. And everybody, I think we're gonna get out of here because we're basically back on this thing in less than about 24 hours with
Pretty
Bloody
much.
Mess to do the show. And like I said, Bloody Mess is going to be cool. It's totally different. It's not an extreme metal thing. It's crazy punk rock stories from back in the day. A band that with Bloody Mess and the Scabs, I learned about them when I listened to this band from Belmar called Northwinds. They actually, this label called Black and Blue Records put out. It was a crazy mix too. They put out 2 bands on one CD, Ed. And it was this total metal band, Northwinds, who we've played on the show actually from Belmar, New Jersey, and then the other side was the full Bloody Mess and the Scabs record, which it was a 91, I want to say. Now, Bloody Mess and the Scabs back then, it was very raw, very. It wasn't for everybody, man, but it was for me. I was so young, I heard it. I was impressionable. Became friends with the guy through the years. Definitely looking forward to talk to him. He's definitely got his own spirit. He's been sober for a while now, man. He was not sober for a while, as we'll hear tomorrow night. Well, you guys will hear probably on Monday or Tuesday when we put the show up. But, and Ed's got some stuff he's working on too, I guess. So we're going to be pretty busy coming up and trying to get everything figured out.
Get your puke bags ready for Saturday.
Get your puke bags ready. And we're going to have some G.G. Allen stories. I'm excited. Everybody, again, thank you for listening to us. Ed, give us the spiel where they can find us.
We're everywhere. We're on all the streaming sites. If you stream podcasts, we're there. thetampamorgue at gmail.com, YouTube. Facebook seems to be getting some activity.
Yeah, we've been
lately.
getting people following Facebook. I'm surprised because we don't do shit on there really besides put the shows, but we have been.
And definitely Instagram, especially if you want some Slash tickets.
Yeah, like I said, we'll be giving away tickets to some shows for all our Florida friends from the Ruth Eckerd Hall, so that'll be cool. And everybody, again, go to TampaBayScreams.com on the 28th, 29th down in Pinellas Park at the Performing Arts Center. You can go check out the Tampa Bay Screams Festival. It's a 2-day event, like we said. And everybody, thank you for listening to the Tampa Morgue. You can email us, which Ed already probably told you, at thetampamorgue@gmail.com. And check us out on Instagram. We'll be doing some feeds from there very soon from some of the festivals. And everybody, Ed, anything else you got to say?
No, sir. Thank you for the visceral discharge, or whatever the fuck it was called, the birthday song. I appreciate that. Vaginal discharge.
Happy, what is it? I'm not going to say that. Just add up the dates from what we put onto that, what we spoke about earlier. 1971. Ed is a 71 baby. Archie Bunker.
And we got
days.
Father's Day this weekend, so it'll be
Father's Day.
It's a double.
We had Father's Day here in Lithuania 2 weeks ago, so I get the double dose of it. So
there you go.
Why they separate the days, I don't know.
Because your Mother's Day was before too, and I almost got killed because we planned a podcast on my Mother's Day, and my wife
what
wanted
guest
to
did we
fucking
have
kill
that
me.
day?
I don't even remember, but my wife wanted to fucking kill me.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of everybody has a shitload of old episodes too, man. Go back and listen. We got guests like Sonoe Shaw. We got the guys from Raven, John Gallagher. Horror fans, we have Art the Clown, David Howard Thornton, who I just saw got another gig on a Rob Zombie movie, right?
Yep.
Steamboat, so that'll be interesting. We'll definitely try to get David back in here too once Terrifier 3 comes out. Just a bunch. I mean, guys from Dave Austin from Nasty Savage, Dawn of the Dead from Dunslaughter, Vincent Crowley Asheron, Dallas Toller Wade from Narcotic Wasteland, Pat from Hell Witch. There's a bunch of shows.
Just go back, listen. You're going to learn shit.
Yeah, they're worth it. They're timeless. You can always you'll get a history lesson on all the bands that that we're pretty proud of, man. So everybody, thanks for listening to the Tampa Morgue. Ed, I'll see you tomorrow night. Everybody, we'll see you next week. Thanks as always for listening, and peace.
See ya.